Good evening, everyone. Coach, a difficult night tonight. Your thoughts on the evening?
Yeah, very difficult evening for a number of different reasons. Probably more so to the fact that we created a number of opportunities and were unable to take advantage of them at any point in time to grab the lead or to put ourselves in the ascendancy. Unfortunately, for the first time in a little while, we were chasing the game as well, which creates a slightly different problem and perspective for the group. But when you look at, I think the way the guys have gone about their business again, dominated the ball, dominated shots, dominated touches in their penalty area, unfortunately didn't dominate the score. So there were plenty of things that we can feel good about, but of course the dejection is going to be all about the scoreline.
Thank you, Coach. Before we go on, I'll ask you just to move a little bit closer. Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, Gary, in the last 9 matches, you guys have taken 7 points out of potential 27. I know you talked about how making the playoffs would be the biggest achievement since you've been here. What has to change other than just taking more points? It doesn't feel like this home form is sustainable.
Well, first of all, I think there are a lot of people that criticise that comment, but they can see why I made it. You know, we're playing against some very tough sides. The lines are so fine between the groups. The points are so fine between a number of teams. And the difference will be taking advantage of the chances that we create. And of course, not giving away opportunities, certainly not losing the lead in the game. The opening goal is a body blow for everyone. I felt as though we'd started to get ourselves into a better position. They started a tad brighter than us, but we started to get to grips with the game. And really, out of not an awful lot, they take the lead. That emotionally, in a tight game, can be very difficult to contend with. The reaction to that was extremely positive. Our finishing execution in what I thought were some very good areas was poor, which in itself tells you the story. I'd be very, very dejected, and not just very dejected, if we weren't creating chances. But over the course of our last 2 games, we've now conceded 6 goals, which is a very uncommon theme for our group. And at the other end of the field, we've created a multitude of moments that we've not been able to capitalise on. So when you ask the question, what do we need to do? Well, we've got to be better in front of their goal. I think when you're pushing as hard as we were, not only to get yourself back in the game, but understand the importance of winning here, and especially against a side like Minnesota, who are in a very good position in the league. The balance between overcommitting and leaving an opportunity for your opponent to take advantage of is very slender as well. Did we get that balance right? Obviously not, because they were able to take advantage and win the game. But I think when we look back at the footage, we're going to be pretty peeved at the way the game unfolded, and especially when we got back on level terms, that we were unable to turn the game our way.
Then go ahead with your follow-up.
Hani scored again. If my math is right, he's contributed to 65% of your goals this season, and I know like he's an MVP level player, but at what point do you need more from some of the other guys?
I mean, I won't be able to remember every chance, Ben. But what I do remember, Alex came in on the back post with 2 fabulous opportunities, one a volley, one a header, that, in all fairness, need to have a little bit more edge to them. Fabulous that he's getting there. Likewise, other opportunities that were created. You're absolutely right. I can't say to you that we don't need other players getting on the score sheet. We truly do. And it's for those guys to step up to the plate and get that job done. Unfortunately, one of our informed players, fell foul of a problem yesterday, and that doesn't help the process. Till was in good form. We then have options, more experienced options coming off the bench to try and maybe carry the baton. But I'm guessing you're going to tell me that every team's got to contend with that, and they do have to. We've got to find a way. I'd be very demoralised sitting here if we'd have been beaten 2-1 and we'd have had our backs to the wall and we hadn't looked like a team that had some purpose and had some belief that we could go and win the game. But I felt we did. We were just not good enough in front of goal.
Go ahead.
Gary, my question goes two ways. Obviously, the opportunities were there. Some of them were very clear. But at some point, it seems like the team gets stressed because of the fact that the ball is just not going in. And St. Clair made pretty good saves too. So now it seems like at that time, it changes a little bit of, I don't know, this, at least what I was seeing. And it's easy to second guess a player sitting in the press box. But still, it seems like at one point, the players decided to take other chances away from the goal, from what they were doing good.
Yeah.
And the other part is on the side of defense. Six goals in the last 2 games, and many of them very unlike Nashville.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, totally. Everything you're saying is absolutely spot on. I think there's an anxiousness when chances come and go. You're looking for a new angle to try and make a difference. It's not for a want of trying, but if you can just maintain some composure at that point, which is very, very difficult to do. The guys are putting an awful lot into the game. They did a fabulous job of getting back into it at 1-1. But when those chances come and go, don't think for 1 minute that it doesn't affect everyone's mentality, confidence, belief. And you're right, there's not as much structure as we moved into the final third of the game in trying to chase that elusive go-ahead goal. As far as conceding goals are concerned, I'm going to have to compartmentalise the 2 games for one reason. Last week we played against an incredibly retooled Toronto team at the end of a very, very tough week. And there were certain aspects of the game that I felt we needed to achieve to try and prevent them from controlling too much of the game. In doing so, we left ourselves exposed. And I think when you look back at some of the goals last week, first one goes through Walker's legs. The penalty I would have to question. Look, you create your own luck in this game for sure, but I'm not sure we're getting the rub of the green in too many ways at the moment either. And if you look at today's game, the difference was, yes, we've had a week to prepare. Yes, we controlled more of the game. The actual focus and ability of the group to control the game today, I was very comfortable and confident about the opportunities that we've created. But we get back to the not scoring at the right time, not getting ourselves in front, not really fulfilling what we're achieving in our build-up play and our creation. And now players are caught in that risk-reward scenario. Do we take more risk to create more opportunities? In doing so, let's not take anything away from Minnesota. They've got some very, very good players. And with few opportunities, they made the most of it.
We're going to take it to the Zoom. We have time for 2 more questions. Drake and Tim, go ahead. Drake.
Yeah, Gary, you also talked previously this week about obviously the penalty issue in Portland, obviously going back and forth with Toronto, this game, and of course everything that happened before the All-Star break. Winless in 6, 3 draws and 3 losses. That's something that this team hasn't gone through, in its previous years, despite its veteran core. Where does this team look to, or who does this team look to go forward? Obviously, in this part of the season, where there's 8 games left, majority of those against playoff teams.
Yeah, I'll go back to the comment I made a couple of weeks ago, and I stand by it. This is a tough conference that we've been put into this year, and it's been compounded by some difficulties that are wrapped around this season. It was always going to be a tough season. We would certainly have hoped, given our form at Titans and the way that this stadium has been opened and the support we get, to have been in a better position. But even that in itself brings different challenges, and we're going to have to face up to those challenges. It's the most difficult run that we've been on, for sure, since I've been here and since the team came into MLS. Well, in my mind, given the successes that we've had in the previous 2 years, we have a standard, obviously, that we're working towards. We believe that we're capable of achieving. But right now, we're certainly falling below that standard in terms of results and points. But we haven't had to encounter this before as a group. I'm telling you now, having been through it before with other teams, these types of runs, when you come through them, make you stronger. They make you a better group. The players understand the importance of winning games, of being on a good run, and no one, players, staff and fans alike, do not take winning for granted. And I'm not saying anyone does consciously, but subconsciously, you think it's just going to happen. And I don't think the players are any different to any other person that walks this planet. Sometimes you go out there and you think, we're good enough to win this. And the same things that you were doing but 6 months ago or a year ago are not quite being fulfilled right now. Are we a million miles away from that? Absolutely not. You can see by the performance tonight. But I have no doubt that what we're going through right now is part of the history of this club, and we will come through this for sure. And we will be a better group for it. We'll be a stronger group for it. And I still believe we have enough in the group to go on a run that we haven't been on this year and put ourselves in a very challenging position. The season's not over. We've got a lot to play for. And we're in a lot of pain right now, but we'll come through this.
Tim, go ahead.
Gary, you mentioned finishing, obviously not just tonight, but a few times in the last couple weeks. When you look at some of the guys who haven't necessarily finished, CJ and Randall especially are historically pretty good finishers, and they haven't been over the past stretch here. Is there something mental through the team? Is there any sort of explanation other than just bad luck? And then the one guy who is in very good finishing form, besides Hani Teal, how long do you expect him to be out? Is this just a one-game injury?
Yeah, I don't believe in just bad luck, Tim. You make your own luck, and I certainly felt as though we'd made enough luck tonight to get something out of the game, if not a little bit more than that. Forwards go through, creators go through spells in their seasons, in their careers, where they hit a barren patch, confidence goes, that instinctive nature in front of goal, you're second guessing, you want to have another touch instead of this is going in. I've seen this multiple times already. I'm gonna take this on the half volley. I'm gonna take this, and I believe I'm gonna score. And when players lose that that focus and that edge. Sometimes it's just got to hit someone up the backside and ricochet in the bottom corner, and you get yourself back on a run again. I've seen it multiple times, as I'm sure we all have in this room and on this call. In trying to find that elusive moment, you tend to also be a little bit anxious as well. The body gets a bit tighter, it's not as loose, and you maybe have a shot from an angle or an area that really and truly, you're forcing the issue too much. And that's where we sit right now, but we're certainly not lacking purpose, energy, and creativity. It's the clinical side of it that makes so much difference. And of course, scoring goals, when you score them against good sides like Minnesota and against Dallas next week and against Toronto last week, getting in front and putting yourself in a slightly different position and maybe taking advantage of one or two mistakes they make because they've got to force the issue. That's what this game's all about. It's being able to manage those moments and not give too many away. As far as Teal's concerned, his groin tightened up yesterday in training, which was really disappointing. Nobody wanted to take any chances. He didn't feel quite right. Big loss today, of course. We'll know more in the next 48 hours. But of course, I hope, and the group hopes, that he'll be back sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. We are joined by Captain Dax McCarthy. Dax, a difficult night for the team. Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, high level of frustration. Obviously, these games at this point in the season are tight, and they have a playoff feel about them. Two teams obviously fighting around the same position. It was always going to be a close game, a tight game. And it's frustrating to go down 1-0. Feels like that's been a theme of ours, especially at home this year. Conceding soft goals, defensively being a little bit looser than we have been in the past. Do a great job to get back in the game in the second half. And when it's 1-1, I think everyone in the stadium feels we are going to go on and win the game. I think we feel like we're going to go on and win the game, and when chances go begging and you're playing against a great goalkeeper, there's always the possibility of a good team with quality players being able to hurt you going the other way, and that's what happened. Feels like a theme of our season actually right now. Extremely frustrating. Obviously not a feeling that a lot of guys in our locker room are used to right now. So high level of frustration for sure.
Thank you, Dax. We'll open the floor with a question from Ed Wright.
Yeah, Dax, last season you guys were obviously undefeated at home, and at this point you've lost more than you've won here. I know a lot has been made about the difference in Nissan versus here, but to you, what has made the difference in home form?
It's really hard to say, honestly, Ben. I think there's a multitude of factors that play into it. I think because of what we've accomplished and achieved in our first two seasons, there's a much higher level of respect and preparation that goes into games against us from our opponent. I think we see the best of every opponent that we play, and I think that's a testament to the quality that we've had not only throughout our 2 years, but especially at home. And that's a fact. And I think the other aspect of it is, you are at Nissan and you're waiting so long for your own home, a place to call your own, and there's a lot of build-up, there's a lot of anticipation. And, it's hands down one of the top soccer-specific stadiums in all of North America. There's no question about that. We have some of the best fans in all of North America. There's no question about that. I think when you start to see cracks appear when you're not winning, there's a little bit of anxiety that builds up. And that anxiety comes through in performances that are unlike us. And that's what's happening. There's no reason to sit here and sugarcoat anything. Everyone can see that we are not as strong at home as we have been in years past. I think part of the reason is because, we are putting pressure on ourselves to entertain our fans, to win games for our fans. And in such a beautiful stadium, sometimes that can be a blessing. And right now it's actually a curse for us. And so it's going to take one result. It's going to take one good performance. It's going to take a little bit of luck, a lucky bounce, just a better performance from us overall to be able to just get a victory at home in one of these last 5 home games and start us on an upward trajectory to finish the season out and try to make the playoffs. And that's what I truly believe. I think it's not far away. I think if we play like we did tonight and tighten some things up at the back, we'll win more games than we're going to lose.
Claudio.
Dax, how much of that frustration that you mentioned is in both sides of the ball, not only not being able to score but also defending poorly sometimes, comes from the fact that perhaps you guys know that you're playing against a higher level conference in the West than if it had been the East on what happened last year?
Yeah, I think it's debatable which conference is stronger, East versus West. I think every year it kind of fluctuates and changes. Obviously, the Western Conference has a multitude of strong teams, and we knew that. We knew that it was going to be a difficult year. But I think what we're seeing right now is we are playing good teams, but more so than not, we are beating ourselves. And I really believe that. I really believe that teams are coming into Geodis and they're happy to walk out with a point, and we end up making a mistake, or we end up getting a bad bounce. We end up not taking our chances, and then the ball's in the back of the net on the other end, and then teams are almost elated that they're in the lead, and they can feel 3 points right around the corner. And in years past, we've had this resilience about us. We've had this ability to bounce back quickly and get back into games quickly. And for some reason this year, it's not falling our way in the attacking side of the ball. So I think in between the 18s, there's not a lot between the teams that we play. I think that it's pretty even. I think, I'm not really a huge numbers guy, but certainly, we have more shots, we have more possession, right? You would say we probably had more chances, but ultimately that doesn't mean anything, right? It's what you do in both boxes that really matters. And right now, teams are getting the better of us in both boxes. There's no question about that. Defensively, we are a lot looser than we have been in years past, and that's something that we have to figure out. And it's not all tactical. Some of it may be a tactical tweak here and there, but defending for the most part is a mindset. It's a mentality. It's looking across the field at the guy you're playing against and saying, you're not going to get the better of me today. And right now, we just don't have enough guys that are winning battles and winning duels to put out fires in the back. And that's myself included. Happened against Toronto, and you have to be honest about these things if you want to try to correct them. And then on the other side of it, on the attacking side of the ball, we have to figure out some way to get secondary scoring other than Hani. It's just a fact. If we're going to be successful, we cannot have him shouldering the burden and the load that he's shouldering right now. It's unsustainable, in my opinion. So that's on everyone to step up and take the responsibility when it falls to them. Anyone in the attacking half of the field, any chances that falls to a guy, it's about having the responsibility to put the ball in the back of the net. And Hani's doing that. He's been doing it for a year and a half, 2 years now. And we have to find a way to get other guys involved and other guys on the score sheet, and that's what's going to turn this around for us.
We are going to transition to those on the Zoom, and we have time for 2 more questions. So Drake and Tim, we'll start with you, Tim. We'll start with you, Drake. Sorry.
Thanks, Chris. Dex, you alluded to it in your opening comments that this isn't a run that you guys are used to in the past 2.5 years. But obviously, you've been in the league for quite some time. I'm curious. Just take this 6 games, 3 draws, 3 losses. And it's not all tactical, as you said, Is there something else that can change, whether it be schedule or superstition, whatever it is? Is there something that you think you guys can look to as a group, as a veteran-based group, to change to get out of this, on top of the lucky ball, the lucky bounce that you mentioned?
Yeah. We can step on the field and say we're not going to lose today. And we've been doing that the last couple games, but for whatever reason, we are in a rut right now. We are in a difficult spell where it doesn't seem like anything's going right. And it happens. This is not new or unique to Nashville SC. It's new and unique to us in our existence because it hasn't happened. So there's no magic formula, Drake. There's nothing I can do or say or any schedule I can change or any superstition that's going to bring us out of this. The only thing that's going to bring us out of this is character, honestly. It sounds ridiculous and maybe it sounds a little bit cliche, but you have to have a little bit of character to be able to come out of tough times like this. And I can assure you that you have a lot of pissed off guys in that locker room right now. You have a lot of guys that want to make it right. You have a lot of guys that realize the responsibility and the burden that falls upon our shoulders to win games. This is not recreational sports. We're in the business of winning, and right now we're not doing that. And we're letting down a lot of people. We're letting down fans that aren't used to seeing us play like this, and it's unacceptable. And I can promise you that while it feels like the sky is falling, we do have guys in there that have character, have belief, have an ability to say, look, it's not good enough right now, but we can get through this, and we can come out on the other side better for it. And who knows? We need one result, one win, one bounce to go our way, and that can change the trajectory of the end of our season for us.
Tim, take us home.
Dax, I don't know if, obviously it doesn't go back and change what the final score is, but the fact that you guys are performing pretty well, in various parts of the field, including generating a lot of chances, things like that, does that make you, I guess, feel a little bit heartened that you aren't far away? And if so, or not, I guess, what do you feel is that final piece to say, okay, whether we're dominating possession, whether we're dominating chances, this is that last piece that we need to actually make this count on the scoreboard?
I think I alluded to it a little bit earlier, Tim. There's no magic formula. It's really what it comes down to is what we're doing in both boxes. And I think in the run of play, there's really not a lot to separate us between the best teams in the league. And I really believe that. Some people might disagree with that, and that's fine. That's what different opinions are for. But when I watch games back, I don't feel like we are being outplayed all over the field. I don't feel like teams have more ability than us, more will to win than us. I feel like we have that in spades. But where we are lacking is in both boxes right now. And we are not winning when it matters. And that's in little moments when we turn the ball over in bad spots, little moments in transition, moments where maybe we need to be a little bit more savvy, maybe we need to use our experience a little bit more, and if we need to take a tactical foul to break up a transition moment in a counterattack, then we need to do that. We need to take a yellow card. And, these are things that aren't really tactical things. These are things you see. Let me tell you what Minnesota did tonight. As soon as they scored the second goal, they slow the game down. They go down, they have guys falling over on the field, and they take 45 seconds on every single set piece. Dane St. Clair catches the ball. He rolls over. He falls on the ground. He has the ball in his hands for 20 seconds. Look, these are things that teams that want to win, especially on the road, that's what they do. And that's where we're lacking a little bit of that gamesmanship. When we get a lead, we're conceding a goal right away after we get a lead. We're conceding goals at bad times. The beginning of the first half, the end of the first half, the beginning of the second half, the end of games. This is just down to will to just do your job and a will to just win battles. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And then what I mentioned earlier about, secondary scoring, we have to find a way to get guys on the score sheet other than Hani. And I really believe that because it's really easy for teams to key in on Hani and try to disrupt his rhythm, foul him, get him frustrated. And, we see right now that the form he's in, he's going to get goals. He's going to create chances. It's just a matter of other guys stepping up and putting the ball in the back of the net. And that's myself included when you have chances on set pieces, when you have the opportunity to shoot from outside the box. Are we putting the ball on frame? Are we following up, shots that the keeper spills? I mean, look, it sounds really complicated, but it's actually just really simple. And I really believe that, once CJ gets a goal, once Randall gets a goal, once Alex gets a goal, I truly believe that that's when the dominoes start to fall and those other guys start to gain more confidence. And you saw it with Teal. Teal was on a roll. He's on fire right now. And having other guys that are able to step up and take that burden off Hani is going to be really important for these last 8 games.
Thank you, Dax.
Thanks, guys.